Why go it alone? Crop West Insurance gives you expert support, better commissions, and in-depth educational retreats that set you up for success. They've spent 60 years perfecting the art of growing crop insurance agencies, and now it's your turn to join the movement. Crop West Insurance, where agents come to thrive. To find out more, please visit cropwestinsurance.com. Crop West Insurance Incorporated is an equal opportunity provider and employer. Hey there, and welcome to the Crop Insurance Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rydell, a third-generation crop insurance agent, and I'm here to help you navigate the ins and outs of crop insurance. It's what my family's been doing for generations, so you're in good hands. Our goal here is simple, to educate our listeners. Crop insurance can be complex and overwhelming, but I believe that understanding it is crucial for every farmer. So whether you're a seasoned farmer looking to stay updated or a newcomer seeking guidance, this podcast is for you. It's that time of year again, and if you're in Montana, you might be dusting off the mountain bike one day and shoveling snow the next. Spring means everything from the melting snow piles in Minnesota to the first glimpses of winter wheat poking through the fields. And for farmers, it's the perfect time to take stock of what crop insurance tasks need your attention. Welcome to the Crop Insurance Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rydell. Today, we're going to be covering some important spring update reminders in regards to the crop insurance deadlines coming up and different tips and tricks to help you stay on top of your insurance game. We're going to be going over some important topics that you should keep in mind this time of year. And we're going to reference some past episodes that will help you dive deeper into each subject. Keep in mind here that the goal isn't necessarily to understand the exact dates, because every crop in every county has different dates. It's more to understand the overarching concept of what these dates and these deadlines represent so that you can make sure that you comply with your different rules and your different policies. Like we mentioned, we're going to kind of be going over these spring update reminders, and these are for the most part in chronological order in terms of what you should be worried about and kind of when things fall on the calendar in regards to your crop insurance. At this time of year, while we are in the middle of the current crop season, it's the perfect time to look back to the previous crop year in regards to your ECO and SCO coverages. It's in the springtime when you're going to be getting your actual area yields, which will then translate to whether or not you have a claim under your ECO and or SCO. Now, I know it's been a while since you signed up for those programs. You've already gone through an entire crop year, and now you're halfway through the next crop year. But this is the time frame when you're going to find out if you have a loss or not. If you're in Montana for different crops like barley, canola, dry peas, and wheat, you can expect those area yields on or before May 15th. And so if you haven't signed up for ACH deposits with your AIP or crop insurance carrier, you may want to do so prior to that date because those loss payments can get processed fairly quickly when they release the final area yields. And if you have an ACH payment set up, they can just deposit those funds versus waiting for that check to be mailed. As I know, springtime, there's a lot of expenses on the farm, and getting that money quickly can be very helpful. Whether or not you had ECO or SCO, this next topic is something that every farmer needs to pay attention to, and that's the early spring crop planting dates. Now, depending on what crop you're seeding and where you're seeding it, there are early plant dates that you have to keep in mind in order for the insurability of your spring crops. Now, you'll want to pay special attention to those dates because they can vary by variety. For example, dry peas, there's different dates for lentils than there are for yellow peas. So you do need to pay attention to what it says in the county actuarials to make sure that you comply with the rules on your early plant dates. Now, along with those early plant dates, something that we also discussed in Season 3, Episode 5, are the rotational requirements for your different crops. Now, if you go back and listen to that episode, you should know that by now you've already discussed your spring seeding plans with your crop insurance agent, so you know you are good to go in terms of your rotational requirements. And that's a crucial thing to know before you start planting so that you don't plant an ineligible crop due to the rotational requirements. Now, while you're out planting those spring crops or out scouting your fields, this is the perfect time to go out and start assessing your winter wheat. It's a good time to go out and see if there are any bare spots in your winter wheat fields to see if you need to look at a replant payment or potentially a winter option if you have the winter coverage endorsement. Now, if you go back to season 1, we do some special editions where we discuss all about the winter option or the winter coverage endorsement and replant. But the one big takeaway is if you notice that you do have a bare spot and you're thinking you're going to have to do something with it, you're going to want to contact your crop insurance agent right away to start filing a claim for 2 reasons. 1, to comply with the federal crop rules with timely notification of loss. But the other is if it's going to be a busy year of claims for winter option or replant claims, you're going to want to make sure you get in line early with the crop insurance adjusters as their workload starts to pile up. So as soon as you notice you have an issue or a potential issue, let your crop insurance agent know. Now you'll remember with winter wheat, you're required to replant those bare spots. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll be paid because you have to satisfy that 2020 rule. And for more info on that, make sure you go back to that season 1 special edition. But bottom line, if you think you have a potential issue in the field with your winter wheat, let your crop insurance agent know so you can get an adjuster out to look at it and give you authorization for your replants and start to evaluate the winter coverage endorsement options that you have if you happen to carry that endorsement. Alrighty, so now you know when you could have the early plant dates. You've looked at your winter wheat out there so you can get your winter wheat squared away. Now, kind of the next step in the chronological order in the springtime are the final planting dates and the late plant date period. And so we covered a lot of this in another special edition back in season 1. So you definitely want to go back and listen to that as we go into quite a bit more detail. But just know that every crop on your policy that you're going to see does have a final plant date. Now remember, that final plant date doesn't mean you cannot seed after that date. That's just the final date you can seed your crop and receive the full coverage on your policy. Now, for every day you go past that final plant date, you are now entering the late plant period. And there are penalties during the late plant period, and you have some time to get your crop seeded during that period. Now, for those of you that are prevented from planting due to an insurable cause of loss, such as excess moisture, you're going to hit that final plant date. And if you're not able to seed by then, you could potentially have a prevented planting claim. Now, if you go back and listen to our season 1, those special editions, we do one on prevented planting. And you'll know that you have up until the final plant date to seed your crop. Once you cross that final plant date, you can look to turn in a prevented planting claim. Now, the kind of rule of thumb with prevented planting and crop insurance is if you can seed the crop, you're better off than taking a prevented planted claim in regards of coverage. And the big thing to remember about prevented planting, if you were the only one in the area that was prevented from planting, chances are you're not going to be able to collect a loss. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely that you'll collect a loss if you are the only one. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at your options when seeding your spring crops. Now, again, make sure you go back and listen to that episode because there is a lot more to prevented planting. You'll want to make sure that you are familiar with that topic as you near the final plant date and the late plant period. And now that we've gotten all of our crops planted and our different winter coverage endorsement claims or replant claims worked, and we've looked to begin the process of the prevented planting claims. We bring ourselves to the acreage reporting deadlines. Now, those acreage reporting deadlines will vary depending on where you're at. For example, in Montana, the acreage reporting deadline for spring crops is July 15th. Now, we all know that people are seeding in late March, April, May, and so waiting until July 15th to report your spring acres is quite a long time to wait. And if I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't wait until the very end or the deadline to report your acres. Make sure you get those acres in as soon as possible to your crop insurance agent, because then they can go back and forth with you using maps and different tools to make sure that they have everything correct. They can also push that information to FSA via the Accuracy program, which we discussed in Season 2, Episode 19. Now, this is something that can help streamline your FSA reporting, and it just helps you catch any errors. And the other big item that I notice is if you wait on reporting your spring crop acres, and then you're looking to put hail insurance coverage on all of your crops, when you call your agent to say, hey, add $100 an acre of basic hail to all of my crops, your agent might then say, well, I don't have your spring crops, so I can't add it until we get those reported. And due to the bind time on hail coverage, that could be pretty crucial time spent or time wasted gathering that information, trying to add that additional hail insurance onto your spring crops if they don't have those acres. So just one of many, many reasons to get your acreage reports into your crop insurance agent as soon as possible. And like I mentioned, with hail insurance, there's also other products out there like field grain fire coverage. The deadline for those different products, for hail insurance, the deadline is hail. And for fire, the deadline is fire. Obviously, if you harvest the crop, you can't add it onto it after the fact. But you need to make sure, if you're thinking about those products, to get in touch with your agent, to run the numbers, to get the quotes, to compare rates, and evaluate what different products are going to work for you based on your financial goals and how you want to mitigate your risk. Now, we do a good job of discussing hail insurance and field grain fire and the different products available back in Season 1, and it was our 3rd and 4th special edition on that season. So make sure you go back and listen to those episodes as we go a little more in depth into hail insurance. Now, just one quick FYI or quick note. In the 2025 crop year, many crop insurance companies or AIPs have changed their bind time compared to previous years. In previous years, some companies may have been as low as 2 hours or 6 hours, but a lot of companies have changed until 12:01 a.m. the next day. Some have even further bind times out from that. So you want to be aware of that and not wait until the last minute to put your hail insurance coverage on, as it may be uninsurable if it's too close. Well, that wraps up our spring checklist. Now, that list was not all inclusive. There are other things that you need to consider and maybe be concerned with depending on your operation, but that should give you a pretty healthy start on what you need to be concerned with in regards to your crop insurance policy, different deadlines and coverages as we approach the springtime. Just remember that on all of these topics that we discussed today, we've done individual episodes on them, so make sure you go back and check our library so that you can learn more about these various topics in a more in-depth way. Well, that's all we have for today, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Crop Insurance Podcast. From my family to yours, thank you for joining me today. Explore more at cropinsurancepodcast.com, where you'll find episodes, articles, and tools to help you make the most of your coverage. Be sure to subscribe and share with your friends and neighbors.
Remember, this info is just a guide. For specific rules, please refer to the Crop Insurance Handbook and your appropriate crop provisions. This institution is an equal opportunity provider and employer.